Lebanon becomes first Arab country to legalize cannabis farming for medical use in bid to beat economic crisis. Cannabis has long been illegally farmed in the fertile Bekaa Valley, and government now hopes to turn it into a legal billion-dollar trade.
Here's a summary of the article.
Lebanon has become the first Arab country to legalize cannabis farming for medical and industrial purposes, a move that could generate lucrative exports and foreign currency as the country struggles to cope with a financial crisis. Although growing the plant was previously illegal, cannabis has long been farmed openly in the fertile and impoverished Bekaa Valley. According to the United Nations, the country is the world's third largest supplier of cannabis resin, or hashish, after Morocco and Afghanistan. The idea of legalizing cannabis cultivation to produce high-value added medicinal products for export was explored in a report by McKinsey that was commissioned by the Lebanese government in 2018. Last month, police carried out the country's biggest drug bust when they seized about 25 tons of hashish that was set to be smuggled to an African state. On the agenda were dozens of other bills, including fighting corruption in the country's massive public sector and a controversial draft bill about an amnesty for thousands of prisoners. Anti-government demonstrations that observed the coronavirus safety measures were held across the country to coincide with the session, with many driving around the outskirts of Beirut in protest over the country's economic and political collapse.
This post received a score of 61,000, with an upvote ratio of 94%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
The question is, will they let the farmers that have always grown it to continue to farm it and make money off it, or are they taking over and kicking the traditional farmers out? Edit. This same situation is happening all over the world. People who have grown their entire lives and are good at it will remain criminals and unable to grow, while rich pricks and their mates come in, make it legal for themselves and make all the money.
Wouldn't it be easier and cheaper to make a deal with the farmers who already have the fields and know-how? Edit. I get it, it's not.
Cheapest deal is to hold the farmers at literal or metaphorical gunpoint.
Lebanon would erupt into civil war. Lebanon is weird because it has so many factions vying for power, that no faction can really impose its will.
I'm wholly unfamiliar with Lebanon. When you say factions, are these simple political factions or armed paramilitary? Are there ever violent conflicts or fear of the chance for it to escalate to that?
For the most part, political, non-militia. We do have militias. Most of them are not too powerful except for Hezbollah, which is de facto legitimized by the government.
And is better armed than the actual whole government.
I'm learning so much interesting shit right now. That's what I'm saying.
Lebanon has become the first Arab country to legalize cannabis farming for medical and industrial purposes, a move that could generate lucrative exports and foreign currency as the country struggles to cope with a financial crisis. According to the United Nations, the country is the world's third largest supplier of cannabis resin, or hashish, after Morocco and Afghanistan. Last month, police carried out the country's biggest drug bust when they seized about 25 tons of hashish that was set to be smuggled to an African state. On the agenda were dozens of other bills, including fighting corruption in the country's massive public sector and a controversial draft bill about an amnesty for thousands of prisoners.
35 years ago I used to get fantastic soap bar-sized chunks of hash stamped with Lebanon on the wrapper. It was yum.
I hate you. 'Cause I ain't you. But 35 years ago I was crapping diapers.
I was following the Dead tour and roadieing for the Unknown jam bands.
This guy's got stories.
Still having a grand time.
Shout out to my homeland. I'm glad it's this headline and not the depressing shit I usually read about Lebanon.
Once cannabis becomes legal in numerous countries, there will be a race to the bottom on prices.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.